Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Matthew and Kharlene channel. Good to see all of you out, and thank you so much to my lovely supporters. Today, we're covering a subject that's gained a lot of attention lately. This is not a reactionary video this time, so I'll let you guys know in advance. We're covering the subject of why so many men are discovering they're a lot better off walking away from Western dating, whether it be going MGTOW or becoming passport bros, and why so many women here in the West are just flat out flipping out about it. So let's start with a few debunks here. We see so many women, so many people online saying that, oh, we're blaming social media for all this. Yeah, well, I hate to break this to any of the feminists who might be watching this. There are plenty of first world and second world countries like Philippines, Thailand, Colombia, etc., that also have social media, who also use social media, and they're not having this problem at all. They're not. So that completely debunks that. We also see so many women say that, oh, these are just incels who need therapy. Yeah, I got news for you ladies. If that was the actual case, these men wouldn't be happy and content with their choice. They wouldn't be. So there's nothing that therapists can do about that without violating their oath to do no harm. There really is nothing they can do about that. Also, if that was true, this would mean it would be isolated to a small group of men. It wouldn't be a multicultural thing here in the West that's spread out through multiple religions either. So let's debunk that right there, okay? That's a clear, contrite debunk. Now let's go over what I think is really happening, or what I've been researching. Because I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to be talking about my personal experience. Because let's face it, something like this does not just happen overnight, everybody. It doesn't. It gradually happens over long-term conditioning. It does. For example, how many times have we heard women here in the West say, we don't need men anymore. Men only want one thing. Men only think with their men are useless. The future is female. All men should just leave. And, well, it's ready, ladies, but we didn't know you did. And now, for some reason, you're flipping out about it. Well, now it's kind of too late to flip out about it because you've been asking for this for several years now. For several generations now. You have. And now you finally got it. Yeah. Not only that, but when us men, from my experience, when I'm hearing so many women keep saying all these horrible things about men, and they're still expecting, like, say, these men make me feel uncomfortable, or men are just evil, but I still want men to think I'm worthy enough to entertain the idea of dating. From my experience, that sets up so many alarm bells in my head that makes me run to my passport and get away from overseas. It really does. I don't feel sexually attracted to that. I don't feel aroused at all. I want to run from that like my life depends on it. Like, I really do. Another thing is that we keep seeing women here in the West, because of the feminist movement, mostly, keep constantly raising and raising their expectations. Saying they want six-figure salaries, this, and this, while offering nothing in return. Now, do I admit that, like, hey, slavery is a horrific and appalling practice and it was outlawed for a reason? Of course I do. I fully admit to that. However, I also admit that the men who were involved in that practice, according to history, were being honest about their intentions. They were. I don't see any chapter of any history of any country of any man trying to disguise slavery as dating or a marriage contract they have zero to no intentions on ever truly committing to. I have never seen that before in my life. Quite never. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Another reason I think that why so many men are discovering they're a lot better off and a lot happier, not just walking away from Western dating, is because there was a time where dating here in the West, like just actual casual Western dating, it had a bit of a roadmap. Men work hard, men get rewarded, women see that, women respect that, acknowledge that, women want to invest in that to create a family. Were there some up and downs? Of course, Lord. Of course, yeah, there were definitely some up and downs in that roadmap. However, it was a straightforward path. It was. And it was enjoyable to do because women would treat men properly. Women would know how to offer men something in return. Men actually got something out of it. We did. But now, further down the line, that roadmap has turned into the equivalent of trying to navigate a minefield without getting your leg blown off in the process. Any man with common sense would not want to leap into something like that. They wouldn't. Especially when there's nothing in return for them to get. No, we're not. And when I say a minefield, I'm talking about how many times have we seen a situation where, because we're here in the West, women can talk about sex as much as they want, but if a guy even mentions the word sex and a woman does not feel attracted to him, he gets treated like some kind of predator, like he does. You know, he never committed a crime in his entire life. He never did. Which leads me to another thing that a lot of this makes men discover that they're a lot better off and a lot happier just walking away from Western dating. Which is, hey, only a less than 1% of men have actually committed, well, I can't say the real word for YouTube for so I was going to say the YouTube appropriate word, rape. And yet, so many men get compared to them. But there's a thing about holding all men collectively accountable for the crime of less than 1% of the male population. I mean, heck, if you look at my True Red Pill Moment video, that's what literally happened to me at a church that I was a part of since 2016 to 2024. The pastor made very clear, he's fully self-aware that I never committed a crime in my entire life. But that does not stop the women at my church from deciding to hold me accountable for crimes that someone else committed. For no more reason than the fact that they said they felt uncomfortable. Which leads me to another reason why so many men are deciding that, hey, local Western dating is not worth the effort anymore. Because I hate to break it to you ladies, but me and Kharlene, we've been married for over a few months, and we already discovered that in order for your marriage to last, for your family to grow, it's going to require you to have some uncomfortable and heartbreaking conversations. But here in the West, so many Western women are just so afraid of a feeling of uncomfortable to the point where they run away and shoot for divorce the moment they see it. Quite literally, they do. Another thing is that if you look at the current divorce rates, let's face it, ladies, if you want your marriage to succeed, to be successful, if you want to actually grow a family, one of those uncomfortable conversations you guys are going to have is, yes, family is important. It is. But in order for your family to grow, the family that you and your partner are trying to create that's separate from the family that you're born into to actually grow and be successful, you need to set limitations on how much you're willing to help out other relatives. Like you do. There's no way around that. The family that you and your partner are trying to create needs to take priority. It does. That's a very heartbreaking and uncomfortable conversation you ladies are going to have with your partner. But if you look at the current divorce rates, You're not capable of having that conversation. You're not. Another thing, if you look at the current divorce rates, is like I said, here in the West, well, as in other countries, I don't know what their marriage rates are, what their marriages are like, but for majority of marriages, when you ladies are getting married, you're creating your own family that's separate from the family you're born into. But if you look at the divorce rates, so many women here in the West don't want to do that. They want to invite their families they were born into, like their mothers, into the marriage itself. Got news for you, that doesn't work. In fact, it goes even further down, where so many women here in the West want to invite their fellow female friends into the marriage. Hate to break this to you, ladies, but polygamy is not legal here in the West. If you cannot keep your female friendships and your male romance, your romance with a man completely separate, you cannot separate that. Marriage is not for you. It's not. This is not me being sexist at all. This is just me stating what the definition of polygamy is. Polygamy is when a woman decides to invite some of her female friends into a romantic relationship with another guy. If you're not willing to tell your female friends, hey, I'm willing to be friends with you, but you can't interfere in my relationship with this guy of mine, marriage is not for you. It's not. You need to keep your female friendships and your romantic life separate. They have to stay separate. If you cannot maintain that separation, marriage is not for you because you're seeking out polygamy now. You are. You want to share this guy. Sorry, ladies, but until polygamy is legal here in the United States, you can't do that. Yeah. So those are what I'm thinking about the reason why so many men are just opting out. And that's just a few. Now let's go to the reason why so many women, as well as multiple other corporations, are flipping out about this. Because let's face it, there are so many things here in the West that are 100% revolving. Well, I'm backtracked. There are so many things of value here in the West that are 100% reliant on men's desire to want to date and marry women. There are. Men make diamonds valuable because men are the ones who would purchase diamonds to propose to a woman. That's true. Men make perfume valuable because perfume was a product that was invented and manufactured since the dawn of ancient Egypt so women could attract men. Men make jewelry, fashionable clothes, makeup valuable because all of those three products were in fact manufactured and invented since the dawn of ancient Egypt for the sole purpose for women to attract men. They were. If you look at churches, how most churches are run by volunteers, you're going to notice that the main source of revenue for a lot of churches is marriage, weddings. But if men are opting out, churches lose their source of revenue that way. Their biggest source of income that way. They do. So many tourist companies, they make a lot of money off of special couple deals, honeymoon deals, stuff like that. If men are saying like, hey, this is not worth it anymore, those go out the window. That main profit goes out the window completely. Family courts, the family court judges, they make their money, their income by, well, you already know. But if men are not willing to create families with Western women, okay, that source of income goes out the window. Divorce attorneys, we all know how they make money. But if men are saying, no, this is not worth it anymore, we're not interested in a marriage where divorce is going to be completely one-sided, well, there goes their income. Just like that. Yeah. A lot of things of value that women enjoy comes from men's desire to date. Another reason why so many women are flipping out about this, from my own research, is that women are neurologically more emotional than men. And because of that, women have a higher need for positive validation. But when men are saying, okay, you're not worth it anymore, well, there goes that. You lose that completely. You end up doing. Yep. Another reason why so many women are flipping out about this is because when men leave, they don't take their workload with them. They don't. Like, that workload stays, and that workload gets transferred to the woman. It does. Like, I know a lot of women say, like, hey, we don't need men anymore, but let's think about this. Without men, even if you do create an artificial uterus, woman would have to be, in order for a woman to have toilets, working toilets, woman would have to be waist deep in human feces processing that. Without men, even if woman did create an artificial uterus so they could reproduce without men, woman would have to be dangling from such high heights to fix electric cables without frying themselves or without falling to their deaths in order to have lights, electricity. Yeah. So, even if, and without men, even if women create an artificial uterus for them to reproduce without a man's seed, in order for women to drive any type of vehicle, women would have to go onto oil rigs, pumping oil, get themselves covered in that stuff in order to get the oil out. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much a lot of reasons why men are opting out and why so many women and so many people are flipping out about this. From my own personal research. Personally, I do not think this can be fixed within our current generation of Gen Z. I think maybe the generation after that might have a chance. I don't think this generation can. Because let's face it, in order to get men to willing to come back to this, you need to offer men something that's so valuable, it will convince them to completely overlook all this entire track record of being constantly villainized for being treated like the financial punching bag for women. That's the only way it's going to happen. And even if you offer that, I don't think men will willing to accept that offer from this generation. They'll be willing to accept it from the next generation who don't have a history with it, most likely. But this generation who already has a history with it, probably not, even if you do make the offer. Yeah. Which leads me to another reason why so many men are saying we're better off not entertaining this anymore. We're better off just walking away from Western dating and why we're so much happier with it. Which is women keep saying they want gender equality here in the West. They keep saying that over and over and over again. But let's be honest here. If you really want gender equality, why aren't you advocating for, protesting on the streets demanding that, hey, the crime for making a false allegation to a man should be the equivalent of what the man would be facing if he was declared guilty? Why aren't you fighting on the streets and protesting, demanding fair alimony payments, demanding for fairer divorce court hearings? Why aren't you protesting for that? And women keep saying that these men who are choosing to walk away, going mixed up, becoming passport bros, they're lonely men. But let's look at the facts. The men who become passport bros, they discover they have better options for wives overseas. The men who decide to go make down, they have their hobbies. They got that motorcycle they wanted to purchase. They have their guy friends. They got their pet dog. They're traveling now. They're enjoying life. When it comes to their need for sex, yeah, but they can get that by becoming sex tourists and going to countries like Colombia, where sex work is legal. And by doing that, they get a guarantee for sex, not a maybe. So yeah, men are discovering that they're a lot better off and a lot happier not doing this. Now, do I admit there was a time when I used to tolerate this? Yeah. But that's because I thought I didn't have a choice. When the idea of MGTOW and Passport Bros came along, revealed me that I had an alternative over tolerating this, I jumped at my first chance to take it. I honest God did. Because I did not want to do this anymore. I really didn't. I just could not handle feeling ashamed for being born a man anymore. I really could not. Anyways, that's all I